Okay, we are in Judges and chapter 5, verse 20. We had just, Devorah was just singing about the other kings who came, and she was comparing off the tribes of Reuven and Dan, and deriding them for not coming to the battle, each for their own reasons, namely they were guarding their borders, but it was unnecessary per se. Everybody else came; they could have come. That's her complaint to them. And she, as a matter of fact, she also says that the other kings came the non-Jewish kings came to help Sisera in his attempt to destroy the Jews, and they did it for nothing, and they abandoned their lands just to help out. So all the more so that Reuben and Dan should have come. Then she continues to say, and here's where the song turns, as it will. Min hashamayim nilchamu, from the heavens they fought. Hakochavim mimsalotam, the stars from their paths. Nilchamu im Sisera, battled with Sisera. So Rashi will explain that min hashamayim nilchamu, from the heavens they battled. Just as the kings, just as the non-Jewish kings came to aid in Sisera, so also Hashem sent his hosts, in other words, the heavens, the angels, and they also did not do it for want of reward, right? Malachim don't get reward for doing what Hashem wants. See, whenever I start class, listen, I start hammering. Okay. Before I start class, I don't hammer here. But nonetheless, when just as the kings came for nothing, so also these Malachim that Hashem sent to help out the Jewish people against Sisera did not do it for want of reward. And it says also the stars left their paths. What does that mean? Rosh Kochav Bashamayim, the head or the top of the star was in the heavens. The Sofo Ba'aretz, and its end was on the earth. So Mikan Amru, and from here they say the Ovav Shel Rakia Ka'avir. We're on chapter 5, verse 20. So it says that the thickness of the firmament is like the space between the heaven and the earth. Shekochav tocha barakia, because the star is put into the rakia, the firmament. Kamo naga bedelet, just like the bolt of a door. So midat aracho ka'aviv. It's just explaining theoretically what it would sound like. That's all. So what happens is, the stars are coming down from the heavens, as it were. The Metzudas David goes further. He says, "Shemaim nilchamu ulam gam biltam," but also without them. Nafal Sisera, Sisera fell. Ki'ilu min shemaim nilchamu, as it was. No, so the Metzudas David is saying it's as if it was from the heavens that they were fighting. That were fighting with it. Ki'ilu. And it's as if the stars turned from their paths. And it's as if they turned from the paths and they came and fought with him. And the rabbis explain, so the stars heated up the soldiers' armor. What? Heat up their armor. And as a result, the people were hot in their armor, so they entered into the river of Kishon to cool off. So the waters, which will be the next verse, drowned them. Okay, so you're seeing, it's a very interesting thing. Just for those, why not? For those who are into global warming, okay. Here we see it said in the Torah so many thousands of years, actually, Tanakh so many thousands of years ago, that the climate had been changed, and it's true climate control here. Okay, and so the stars, the stars heated up the armor that they were wearing. It's not the star, but the stars. So that talk about climate control here, where God is using the stars that are at least 4.3 light years away from us. And
serious.
Right, that's serious global warming. Okay, I don't know how we survived, but nonetheless, that's what's going on. Fine, that's what they're referring to. Next verse. Nachal. Let's go through the verse and see what's going on here. Nachal Kish. If you have questions on them, please do ask them. Nachal Kishon Garafam. So the river of Kishon, or the brook, he says, Kishon, swept them away. Grafam is sweep, is them, swept them away. Nachal Kidumim, the original, the ancient brook, Nachal Kishon, of this brook of Kishon, Tidrechi Nafshi Oz, oh my soul, their strength. They tread down on my soul, their strength, sorry. Okay, so any question on that one? That one you have to really figure what's going on there. It says Nachal Kishon Garafam, the brook or the river of Nachal swept them away. So Mitzudas David already answered how it swept them away. That you have the people went in there and they got swept away by the tide.
The armor dragged them down.
Correct. The problem that we're going to face is that Kishon was a very shallow water. It wasn't deep at all. It would be like it's not like crossing St. Joe, the St. Joe River right here down the street. That you cross, you're going to be swept away. It's not even as, now I'm really going to show you my geographical knowledge here. It's not even like the tidal bore in Moncton, New Brunswick, which again was a swift moving river when the tide came in. But this is just a shallow river.
So why does it have to tell us ancient brook?
Oh, the ancient brook. What does that mean, the ancient brook? Good. So Mitzudas David explains. Actually, we'll go through Rashi first. Rashi says, what's mean grafam ta'atem, swept them minha olam, from the world, kimagrefa, like a rake, zushagarefet afar minakira, that will separate the dirt from the oven. V'nachal kidum, what does it mean? Ancient river. Shanasa arev liyam, it was made a guarantor for the sea. Al-zeh mimot Mitzrayim. This came from the days of Mitzrayim, like it says in the Gemara, and that's all in Pesachim. That's all Rashi tells you, by the way. Rashi tells you he's expecting you. Amazing.
What?
He is expecting you to know the midrash here. That's what I say. Rashi in Nach is not the same person he is in Chumash. In Chumash, in the 5 books of Moses, he brings you along like a Rebbe and a student. That's how he brings you along. You don't know anything, I'm going to tell you everything. Here, he says you're in a graduate course. I gave you information, go do your research. Let me know, you know it. It seems it's the strange thing that he does. It's like he got tired, but it's just amazing to me that it's so short. He's so abrupt. He was made a guarantor. This ancient river was made into the guarantor for the sea where the Egyptians drowned. Okay, but then he tells you go to Pesachim, but he doesn't tell you where to go in Pesachim. Pesachim is a good 100 odd pages. It's in that Gemara. That's all. So again, it seems that it's an amazing thing. Fine. So Mitzudas David doesn't trust that we're going to look around. So he explains it a little better. He says, Nachal Kishon Garafam, that the brook of Kishon swept them away. He explains that the war took place at the edge of the brook. Uvenes, and in a miracle, Gavrug Benachal, the waters of this brook or river got stronger, and in other words became swift, Vashatfam, and drowned them, because again they walked into the river. Since you walk into the river to cool off, So you go too far,
Yeah.
you're gone. It's going to take you away.
When did Methuselah David write?
When did he write?
A few hundred years after Rashi?
I think centuries.
Yeah.
Oh, a few hundred years, yeah. I think
So
centuries.
he's already a few hundred years after Rashi. He's people don't know as much as they knew back in Rashi.
Yeah. He probably looked at Rashi and said, "What does that mean?" Okay, I don't know. But it's not. So it's Nachal. No, but understand that every commentator here has a different job going on. Metzudas David with Metzudas Sion, it's the same person.
I mean, they must look at obviously who wrote before them, and
Right.
they're trying to explain a little further.
Correct. And they're also trying to get it so that people will read Nach. They're trying to make it, it's a closed book otherwise.
Yeah.
Tanakh in general is a closed book. If I don't have commentaries and I don't know all the Talmud and everything else, I'm really lost. I'm not going to know what's going on. There's a lot of stuff that's, like I said, how do I know ancient brook? What does that mean, ancient brook? What are you getting all flowery on me? So he's going to tell you that that this brook of this water water was there previously. And from then, when you looked at the brook, haloma atim hayu, it was a shallow thing. Ad ashir darakti ani babu uzi, until I, Devorah, walked on with strength, bleed nezek, without damaging it. And now al pi anes, through this miracle, eich rabu lamala, how it rose so high, ad until it drowned these people were chasing us. Okay, so the Judaica Press said he looks at it on page. You have the same book, so it's 43. He says that ancient brook became a guarantor to the sea. He's looking at Rashi. He says the Talmud explains that the Almighty designated the Kishon to repay the fish of the sea, because he had ordered the Egyptians to be cast out of the water. When Sisera's army advanced, armed with metal spears, the Almighty intensified the heat by moving the stars. They then descended into the brook to cool off, but were swept away into the sea. The Radak explains the term ancient is used to imply that it was originally created to avenge Israel from their enemies. So you have a lot of people looking and say, what does it mean ancient?
Yeah, so you're really talking, a couple hundred years before this? How long was it with the Egyptians? A few hundred years?
Yeah. Maybe a few hundred? No, not a few hundred.
Not even that?
I don't think that much.
Oh.
Because they were in the desert for 80.
Yeah.
Then it doesn't take that long to go through Judges. 80, maybe a few hundred. Could be a few hundred. Could be. Shouldn't say no. Could be. But what would the point be?
Well, that's okay. So, by the time this was written, if we look 500 years in the past, I guess maybe some people would call that ancient. Back here they had less history behind them than we do.
That's true, but
now we're a few thousand years later.
Right.
So
what we have to
500 years not so ancient anymore.
What we would have to figure out is why is she calling it ancient? So that's like I said. You have the Gemara saying that it was because it was a guarantor. You have an outstanding debt. That's Rashi. You have an outstanding debt. And so Hashem is repaying that debt, which is also telling us that if Hashem may not repay us in our life, it can repay us in our grandchildren, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't mean it has to pay me for what I'm doing right now. That's number one. The other one is that it's, what did he say? That something was created for this one moment.
So if it was from the creation, then you're talking about it as much older.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's how the Radak says. He says this is originally created to avenge Israel. So it's sitting there all this time, just going until this moment in history, which is what it was created for, his destiny, and boom, it gets his destiny. Now what happens to Nachal Kishon after that? I guess it just goes back to dribbling and become shallow. I'm not sure. Okay, then it says, like I said, then it continues, Metzudas David. No, it didn't finish it. Okay, so. Okay, next one. Everybody's good now?
Yeah.
So then, as halmu ikvesus, then the heels or the feet, the shoes of the horses pounded. Midaharot abira, from the galloping of his strong ones, their mighty ones. He says prancing. Daharot is galloping. Oh. So Rashi explains. Now what's going on? It says, then their feet were hit. What does that mean? That's the first question. What does it mean they were hit or smitten? So Rashi explains, Nishtalfu talfei suseihem shayachom kochavim artiach adatit. What happened was the shoes of their horses slipped off because of the heat of the star. So it heated up the mud. We had Sipor Nishmata, and so now what happens is their nails get stuck in it, and so on and so forth. Commotion Mogan or and so that's how they come off from the prancing or the galloping of their strong ones. Shai Markidim at Suseim, they were trying to dance their. That's why they get prancing. Rashi says they were causing their horses to dance in the war. Kmosus Doar, like the horse galloping. Okay. So Metzudas David explains Az Halmu Rosim Kiber Otam Anachal. When they saw that the river or this brook flooded them, Nasu Lenavsham Al Suseim, they ran for their lives on the horses. Vyashuku Venishbru Ikvesus, and that's when the legs were hit and smashed of the horses from the galloping or the dancing with the gilot sha'asuimayim that they were trying to do with them. These strong men who were riding on the horses. Oh, mila. So, or the Metzudas David says that would be Rav Choser al Susim, that the strong ones goes back in the words Susim. And so, I want to say from the galloping that they were doing with the strong horses, that's how they hurt themselves. You understand? You get nervous, what happens? The horses start to buckle. You try to turn the horse around, bang, they hit each other, break each other's legs, and die. So a lot of, they all get hurt, they all hurt themselves in the end. So here's something that bothered Jim. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what the Meros would have been for him, but okay, this is next verse. If he was here, hopefully he'll watch this because this was his verse. He asked me about this a long time ago. So Oru Meros, curse, or Oru is curse. Okay, from what's it? Shoresh. Aleph Reish Hey is the Shoresh there. So I believe, if I remember correct. Oh no, Aror. It's from Aror that Metzudas says. Aror. Okay. So Oru Meros Amar Malach Hashem. Cursed be Meros, says the angel of Hashem. Okay, since the Oru Aror Yoshveh, cursed is its inhabitants, Ki lo va'u le'esrod Hashem, because they did not come to help out Hashem, Ezra Hashem b'giborim, to the help of Hashem with its strong ones. Any questions? Against the might, I should say, against the might. Who's Meros? That's one thing. What? Another question?
And who's this messenger of the Lord?
Who's the Malach Hashem suddenly? Correct. What's going on there? And now you can go on. Why didn't they help? Who are they that they should have helped? And who? And so on and so forth. Good. See that? A little while with me, Mr. Ornstein, you'll be a Rav too. Okay. So Rashi explains. Amru la kochvaya hava. Some people say that Meros, Rashi explains, was a star. And others say it was an important person. Rashi is going more with this. And he was close to the action. And he did not come to aid. Okay. Amar Malach Hashem. So Rashi says, who is this Malach Hashem? Amar Barak. He says Barak is a Malach Hashem.
Oh.
B'shlichuto shalakadosh Baruch Hu, because he was doing the work of Hashem. So anybody who does the work of Hashem is called the Malach Hashem. Yoshveha, its inhabitants, they didn't come. It of course be the inhabitants. Hayoshvim ba'arba amot shalom, the ones who were dwelling in the Dalit Amot, that space of his own, and the Dalit Meot Shofrot, Shamtia Barak Lamara. So in that, because we were living in the area, and they didn't come to help, so Barak put them into, excommunicated them. That's what he did. And the Ezra Hashem was meant to help Hashem, Kibiyachol, as it were. Shemishu Ozer et Israel Ko Ozer Shechina. Now here's something that all these Christian groups always want to say, that they're friends of the Jews. Yes, I always hear that. Yeah. So, and they're all telling, and they all like to quote, "He who blesses Abraham will be blessed." Yes, that's what they think they'll always quote. Okay. Well, they shouldn't quote that. I'm giving them a heads up. They should quote this.
Oh.
Because here it says, wasn't mean they didn't come to help Hashem. As it were, it says that one who helps Israel is like one who helps the divine presence.
Oh.
So if I'm going to go for a reason to help protect the Jews or to fight for the Jews, I'm not going to always say, those who bless Abraham will be blessed, those who curse Abraham will be cursed. Go for this one. Anybody who helps the Jews is as if they help the divine presence, and thus you're in better shape. Okay, so that's, if I was going to pick on something, I would pick on that one. But okay, that I leave up to the Christians. They have to watch this video. They have to be watching at 51:54. But if they ever get to there, then they'll know what they should say at these conventions that they have. Okay. So then it says, Mitzudas David explains, Aro my rose. So I told you, you had a choice between the star or the. By the way, what would be the problem with saying it's a star?
Why are you cursing a star?
Right, a star has no free will.
Ah.
There's no free will to a star. The star goes. So what are you cursing it for? It can't be a star. It doesn't make sense to make it a star. Then you have to figure out why they're making it a star. That would be the question that you'd have to say.
Oh.
So he says like this in number 23. He says the interpretation of a rose being a star refers to Sisera's heavenly guardian who refused to submit to the divine will. Okay, so everybody has a heavenly guardian. So he refused to submit to the divine will, and that's the answer. That's all you have to worry about there, because that's the one talking about that. Okay, so what does it mean he doesn't answer to the divine will? Anyway, that would also be an interesting question, because as we've always said, malachim, angels, do not have any free will. They can only do what they're commanded to. So we don't have any fallen angels. We don't have any of those concepts. So if that's the case, we'd have to look to the Gemara Moikatan to have more of an understanding of what that means. It could mean, by the way, without even going through the Gemara, that Sisera, since Sisera refuses to give in, the malach is only a reflection, if you will, or can only do what who is protecting. So you can make that malach do something against, quote unquote, its will, and that we see from the Derech Hashem. Again, I'm crossing my classes here, but we just covered it in the last class or 2 classes ago. That if I know how to corrupt the hashpa'ah, those influences, those malachim, I can do it. So maybe Sisera understood how to cause his guardian angel to quote unquote rebel.
Try to throw him off somehow and make him do something else.
Right. Well, I don't know. He doesn't explain how you're supposed to do it. He just says that it can be done.
Huh.
So if he would tell us how to do it, everybody would be trying to get the $1 million or the $1 billion. Okay, so the Derech Hashem wasn't crazy, but he does say that we have the power. We can corrupt the system if we so choose.
Interesting.
So it could be that he didn't use those words. He didn't use that language. I'm using that language, but he's saying we can use that and we can override their directive. So it could be that's what's going on here, because otherwise it makes no sense again, because malachim have no free will.
Well, a malach can appear in human form, right?
Correct.
Look like it. So, and maybe by the human beings, the person's actions of trying to trip him up somehow, again, can make him go in a circular path to accomplish his original mission. It can draw him off somehow.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we know how to use the hashpa'ot, these influences, or how to abuse them, so then we have a little bit more power than we did before. Hashem can always say no. Hashem can always say no, and it's game over. Once Hashem says no, it's no. But if Hashem allows us to manipulate the system, which he does,
the malach is ultimately going to accomplish his mission. There's no question about that. Is there? He's ultimately going to get to the end result that Hashem sent him for, even if he's thrown off part of the way. Hashem's calling
okay. I'll give you, in the long run, yes, he will. The thing will be accomplished, but imagine, if you will, that I can control the weather. That's one of the things. If I not without global warming, okay. If I could actually control the weather,
you're going to seed the clouds and make it when you want to make it.
Right. So what happens as a result of that? I mess up the system. Sooner or later, the system will catch up with itself. No question.
It has to, yeah.
Right. Sooner or later, there'll be a drought here, or whatever.
Yeah.
But sooner or later,
up someplace,
right? Sooner or later, it's going to catch up.
Yeah.
But do I want to go through that waiting period, as compared to allowing things just to happen in a normal manner? So everything will come back to being, because God doesn't want to upset the apple carts totally, but He's willing to let us manipulate a little bit of it.
Yeah.
It's that's what the Mitzvah, the Derech Hashem is saying. Okay. So like the Mitzvah David says Arar Meros, so he says Klalat Atem Emakom Meros. So the Mitzvah David says it's not a man nor a star; it's a place, it's a town. So you people of Meros are cursed. And it says, Amar HaMalach, Klalo Unevu Amra. Again, this Malach is talking through prophecy. And he says, Oru, cursed be. Kalalu Lomar Aru Yoshvei. The people of Yoshvei should be cursed, because they didn't come to help with the fight of Hashem. And they were close, they could have joined us. And so it's just explaining, why does it say it again? To help Hashem against these strong people. So Kafla Davari doubles the words Lefarish Be'eza Azra, and to explain which help, namely the Ezrat Im Hashem Nilcham Begiborim, to fight with Hashem, who's fighting against the strong people. Who are they? Aim Anshe Sisra. They're the people of the men of Sisra. And then it says, Devorah minashim, blessed be from all the women is Yael, who is Eshet Chever Keni, the wife of Chever the Keni, minashim ba'ohel, from the ba'ohel Devorah, from the women of the tent, shall she be blessed. So where is it? Rashi explains what's going on here. Minashim Be'ohel. Who is that referring to? Who are the women of the tent? That's what you should have asked. That's the first question you should have asked. Who are the women from the tent? So Rashi explains Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Why? Because it says that they were in the tent. And what's going on there? It was showing that they were tzniut, that they had modesty. And so it says she's more blessed from all the women of the tent. She shall be blessed. Why? Lama hem yaldu v'gadlu v'im lo ya'el. Because what did these women do? They gave us the Jewish people. And lo ya'el, and if not for ya'el, hare rasha zebav ma'avdan. If not for Ya'el coming and interfering, so Sisera would have come to destroy us. So that's why she's more blessed than all of them. Devorah av Ya'el hayte yoshveh. And then it says, even Ya'el was sitting in her tent. And that's why it mentions her along with those illustrious women. David says, why is she blessed? Because she said to curse the inhabitants of Meroz. Devorah was saying, or Barak, who's ever speaking at that point, to curse the inhabitants of Meroz. So Amra, she also said, Aval Ya'el, but Ya'el, she should be blessed from all the women of the tent. Al ki he Ezra Lishel, because she was a help to Israel. And from the women of the tent, mipi nashim sikaniyo, from the mouths of the righteous women who were tsnuot, who were modest, that sat in their tents, mipi nashim e'eleh, from the mouths of these women, she would be blessed. Titkayem habracha, and the bracha will be established. Im shalo amra malach Hashem klat meroz, because the malach, and not put in together with the people who were being cursed from Meroz. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. He brings down also an interesting one. Where was it? Oh, we didn't get there yet. Okay, that's bad. Okay, so what happens? So now we're going to hear a little bit of what she did. Mayim Sha'al, he asked for water. V'chalav natana, and she gave him milk. That was because it was to get tired. B'seifel adirim hekriva chema, in an important cup, in a lordly cup, she brought him this cream. Now the milk, the butter, the whatever it's going to be. Rashi explains, Chalav natana ledat im libo alav sheyavim beintam mayim, to know if his heart was with him, so that he could distinguish between water and between the taste of milk. Notice if he doesn't, he's asking for water, right? If you ask for water and somebody brings you milk, you say, I didn't ask for that, thank you. I just want water. And then he says, V'seifel adirim, what was seifel adirim? V'seifel sheshotim bomayim. That's normally the cup that you would drink water in. Shamayim nikru adirim, because water is called something strong. And as it says, strong waters, fine. David says, Mayim Sha'al, Roshidimo again, Hevinu Chalchmata, where he's telling us of her wisdom, of Ya'el, Ki Sisra Bikesh Mayim. Sisra wanted water. V'natna lo chalav, and she gives him milk. Like it says above, Tiftachet Noda Chalav, she opened the bottle of milk. V'tashkeon, she gave him, Zekidei lahavia lav tutema. That was so he would get tired. And she brought it in a nice cup. Luma'an ye'libo b'tuach ba, and that way his heart was certain in her. V'lo yagis b'devar ha'kriva lefanav, so he didn't suspect her when she came close to her when he brought to him this milk in this important cup. That was haroy lahachel boadirim, that is fit to feed the important people like him. That's why he thought that she considered him somebody important, and for a master he considered her. He would be considered to her. So he has no suspicion. She knows how to get her men, right? Brings the milk, brings it nicely. He's all happy. So what happens? Yada liyate tishlachna. So her hand was sent for her to the pin, to the peg that she's going to. And her right hand to strike the weary. She struck Sisera in the head and pierced his head. And then he was wounded b'chalfa barakato, and it penetrated his temple. So again, we're just getting a repeat of what happened. It says that who was tired here? Sisra haya amal v'yageh. He was the one who was tied. Mechaka means it was hit. Mechad said, okay, all smashing here. We're talking about smashing one with the other. She was David says Yadav al Baksha Nafsha Vashita Yada Hasmolim. She wanted to stretch out her left hand Lakachat Yated Ha'ol to take the tenth peg. Vimina Hoshita, so the right hand was sent to take the hammer. That was okay. So she wanted to smash it. Right. V'halma Sisra. Hakata saw what happened was she hit Sisra and broke and split his head. Then and then she took off his head and she showed it to people. See, here we don't have to worry about it. The enemy is gone. Fine. That's what. So bein ragleha kara. So here's it comes. Between her legs, kara nafal shachav. He was humbled or he sank, and he fell, and there he lay. Bein ragleh, between her legs, kara v'nafal. He fell. Bashir kara, as when he was lying again, sinking. Kara is bowing. Koreim. Sham nafal shado. There he died. He fell down dead. So the question is, what's going on here? There's a whole argument. What's between bein ragleha? Okay, and the simple thing is, Meshudas David says lifaneha, before her, not literally between her legs, but in front of her. Although he was lying down, and so on and so forth, so it wouldn't make it hard. And so the fun of kara al karav, before, because she was laying down on his knees, miyad nafal arts, so he immediately falls to the ground, v'nishar shochev lahosif lakum, and he remains lying there. He no longer gets up. So that's one. Makom shekara, makom shekara sham nafal. It's a strong place that he was kneeling down. That's where he fell, and so on and so forth. Then there's somebody, I think it's the Malbim, if I'm correct, who says that she was, let me just make sure before I quote somebody who doesn't say it. I think it was the Malbim. He says, Malbim says, he was having relations with her, sexual relations. That's why the rabbis say that's why he was between her legs, and that's where he was, and he fell, and when she killed him, and the place that he had relations, again, that's where he dies. So that's why it's bein ragleh, between her feet. It's either at her feet or between her feet, before or while in the action. So now the question would be, why would she allow him to have relations with her? Obviously because she wants to kill him. So the more I get him relaxed, the more I get him off guard, the easier it's going to be to kill this guy. And so she's not considered a zonah for this at all. She's considered a heroine. It's interesting. According to that explanation, it's quite interesting. Now here is the famous thing. Good, I have 10 minutes for this. Here's the famous, on Rosh Hashanah, we always ask how to blow the shofar, right? Trua. It says in the Torah, you should blast the shofar. So we know the simple tekiah is the straight one. Then we come to Trua, we have a question, is it three short blasts or 9 very short, staccato? Okay, what's the whole thing? Right here, from this verse. This is the verse where it comes from. V'ad hachalon nishkafa, that by the window she was looking out. V'tayaveib em Sisra ba'ad ha'eshnav, and the mother of Sisra was again this Tiyabeib, where she was looking, as it were, on the Eshnav, whatever Eshnav is. He says again the window. We have 2 words for window. Okay, that should be one question you come up with. But Tiyavev is, like I said, it's a Rashi says Yalala, Indian Yalala. It was like a cry, a whimper. Kitrua Okay, and so it was like she was just sort of whimpering. And that's the question. What is this sighing? What is it? Was she going, hi, hi, or where's my son? Okay, that's what she wants to know. Aim Sisra, she's looking at the window. And Madua Boshesh Richvo Lavo, why is his chariot laden coming? Umadua Echeru Pa'ame Markvotov, and why are these the wheels? Oh, and there's why are the chariots taking so long to come back? Yes. Okay, so again, she was sitting by the window, a chalon window, clearly looking out. Then she's wailing or having some sort of yalala here by the eshnav. What? And again, you say window for that. So what is? How do you say window? How many words are for window? How many? Give me one window. Leave me alone. Okay. So Mitsudas. Rashi will say this. Just look quickly. Rashi says Tiyabev is lashon dibor. It's the language of speaking. Rabotena Pirshu lashon genicha, and the rabbis all explain this lashon of this language of the sighing. And I, Rashi say it's the lashon of re'iyah, and Rashi say it is the language of seeing. So you have a whole argument as to what Yevava it really is. But like I said, that's where we have this whole thing of how do I make it trua? Because if you look to the Aramaic translation of the Torah, when it says trua, it says Yevava. Same word. So that's really where this whole thing comes up from. And Rashi says, Eshnav is a chalon. Good. So far, everybody's saying it's chalon. Masudas David says she was singing by the chalon. Chazra, the sapir b'shirata. Now, Devorah is going back and telling us in her song about the mother of Sisra, that she looked at through the window to see if he was coming, if the chariot of her son was coming. And when she saw that the chariot was not coming, she started to wail with a bitter soul, and she was continually looking at the by the ashna of this window, and then she would say, "Why is my son taking so long?" Now the Malbim gives an explanation here that we have to go through, because otherwise you miss it. Okay, and he says like this. But Tiyabe for Kol Yevava V'Yalala again. Sorry, I missed. Bi'ad Chalon. He says Yesh Hevdil ben Chalon Ashnev. The Malbim tells us right away. There's a difference between a window and this eshnav. Why? The eshnav is a type of window that is made for chachma, for wisdom. Ubapo el Chalon Akesim Shabo, and they come to this window of sorcery. And that they look that his mother of Sisra looked into it with his her abilities as a sorceress to know what happened to him, and so that's first she looked out the window, a regular window, and then she looked at her magic mirror on the wall, or her what's it called, the ball the crystal ball.
She's in her house.
She's in her house.
She's waiting for him to come back.
She's looking out the window, and I don't see my son. So what do? Mirror, mirror on the wall. What happened to my son, the fiercest of all? Okay, well, she looks in her crystal ball. Whatever she's doing, she's using sorcery to find out what's happening. And so what happens? Then she starts to whimper. Why? Because Kira'at b'chalon kesim, she saw through this crystal ball, I think in my language, that Sisra was lying on the ground and the woman was standing over him, and his head was smashed and the blood was running down from his head. And so they saw that it was that they were killed and his neck was red. And that's when it says, in the beginning, she saw Ba'ala Chalon Nishkafav, she looked out the window. Why is my son's chariot late in coming? And then she starts to wail at the crystal ball. Why are the chariots waiting? So again, Yesh Hevdil bin Acher ben Boshesh. So there's a difference between the words Acher, late, and Boshesh, late. Boshesh, who hit Mama Yotim in a ragel. When it says to Boshesh, that word means that he's hesitating more than usual. But the one who's late is later than the fixed time that he was supposed to return. Okay, and therefore, since it was after the time that he certainly would have come, because I have a fixed time, right? If the teacher doesn't come into the room by 15 minutes, class is canceled. 15 minutes. You have 15 minutes to make it there. If you make it 14 minutes, you made it. If 14.58, you made it. 14.59, you made it. 15 minutes, you're too late. Okay, it's over. So when she saw that time had passed, Al-Kain, that's when she says, after she said that, then she said, why is he late? Why is the time late? So then she adds and says that the horses are taking longer. That even if they grabbed the chariots, so certainly the horses should come, which means that namely to tell her what's going to happen, what's taking so long. That's when she starts to look at her crystal ball. Okay, so what happens? Chachmot sarotet ha'aneh, the wise women, the wives of her princesses, answer her. Avhi tashiv amareh la, and even she answers herself. She's going to answer her own question. Okay? What's going on here? So Rashi says, the wives amongst her lady, what do you call it? The princesses. So it means, so he's not saying it. Okay, he's not answering, he's just giving me the words. Let me just see. Yeah, okay. Avhita Shiva Marem. Even she answered, Tanchumin la'atzma. She gave herself consolation on what she was wondering, why her son was late. That's one thing. So Metzudas David says the chachamot, the wise women that were her princesses, every one of them gave her some consolation. And she was also like one of them, giving a consolation. They were trying to convince themselves what's taking so long. Consolation is like this. Listen to the consolation they have. Hello, yimsu'u yechalku shalal. Are they not finding and dividing up the spoils? Rachamatayim, the Rosh Geber, one woman, 2 women to each man. Shalal tzivayim l'sisra, spoils of colored garments. Shalal tzivayim rikma, dyed garments of embroidery. Seva rikmatayim the svari shalal, dyed garments of embroidery for the neck of the spoiler. So they're really going crazy. They're saying, this is what's going on. They're splitting the spoils up. That's what's taking them so long. That's what Rashi says. Or they're having more than one woman. And that's ma'anin. They're raping the beautiful women of Israel. That's how they console themselves. Each man is having an orgy. They're having 2 or 3 women at a time. That's how they're.
So he's trying to rationalize why he's not back yet.
Correct. So now remember, she had this. She looked at her crystal ball, and she saw what was going on. So the Malbim continues to say, with that going, says, "Hello, Amra Shema Nira Bekesem Ish Shechev Artzat Savu Bedam Ish Zehu Ish Malitzi." Maybe the woman, when you looked at the crystal ball, maybe you misunderstood the message that the person lying on the floor was not a person with death. Shekesem Yitzuar et Shalal, that was describing the splitting up of the booty, Ki'iluhu Ish, as if the whole booty was one man. Shalal Mitzua B'Demot Gever, fine. And then Halo Yimsu Chalkul Shalal, they were splitting up the bounty. Shalal Hua Ish Shechev Atzam. That bounty was that man that was lying on the ground. Umashu Ita Al Rosh Gever, and that was, you saw on the head of the person, Sheisha Omedet Allah, that a woman was standing over him. This is its interpretation. 1 or 2 women to every man. Hanashim, the women, Asher Yishlalalu, that they plundered. Who wrote Shegever? That is the head of the woman, the head of the man. Halazeh, that's this plunder. Ki Yehu Rosh Hashalal Mechubar ve'amuvchar Shabo, and that is the head. Again, this bounty that was chosen for it, and that which you saw the head covered with blood. The explanation is that it was referring specifically to Sisera, that he's also the chosen one. He's also the head of the army, and he's described as the head of this man that you were seeing. That is the why? Because he was dressed in all these beautiful garments, and that which you saw that his neck was red, that was the color of these embroidered garments that were around his neck. In other words, they're making it up. They say, you saw this. I'm going to explain to you what you saw. They're interpreting it to the good. What they're doing is interpreting it to the good and saying everything's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. He's going to come back. Everything's great. He's just raping the heck out of the Jewish people. Everybody should rejoice. Yay. Okay. So that's what. So now we go back to the story. This is that was what Devorah said. They're saying. Now Devorah finishes off her song and she says, "Cain, yovdu kol eivecha Hashem." Thus, all of your enemies, Hashem will be destroyed. But they that love you could say that Hashem is Gevuratav, should be as the sun that goes forth with his might. But Vatishko the arts arbim shana, and the land was quiet for 40 years. So Rashi explains, Cain Yovedu Devorah Amra Tanchumen Shal Hevel. Devorah said that they gave Tanchumen comfort of naught. That and this says, Hein La Cain Yov, and thus that all of your enemies should be destroyed, Hashem, just as you destroyed him. And mind you, she's not saying all of our enemies. Okay? It's interesting. You would think she should say, Oivenu, all of our enemies, you should destroy God. She says, no, it's your enemies, God. Whoever fights against us is fighting against you. Because we represent you. We are only your we are only Malachim on this planet. So if we are your Malachim, if we're your king, if we're your princes, messengers, sorry, if we are your messengers, then they're never fighting against us. Who am I? I'm just your messenger. They're fighting against you. It's like I always explain to somebody that when I was in a job, there was one person who decided to have a fight with me, but it wasn't with me. It took me a little while to figure it out. It wasn't me. It was with the rabbi. I happened to be the rabbi. So it was with me. But when I would leave the building or when I would leave the job, I'm his best friend again. Because I'm not the rabbi. The next guy come in, he's the rabbi. So I'm angry with the rabbi. Whoever the rabbi is, that's what I'm angry with. It doesn't matter. It could be a good guy, bad guy, who cares? How are you? So that's what he's saying. Okay, then it says, his love, the ones who love him, they should go out like the sun. Latit lavo. Okay, so it's in the future, and then the land was good. So he says this is not from Devorah, that rather that's from the writer of this book, because Devorah won't know. She can't sing, and then the land was quiet for 40 years. That would make sense for her to say that, and that's where we will stop. Okay.
I see this.